Well, you've probably heard by now that the state of Indiana is a bunch of bigots and they hate gays, and the governor there signed a law allowing discrimination for businesses against gays and can open up to a much broader discrimination. So, for our Freedom Friday, we are going to do a special 5-minute edition on what exactly is going on with this Indiana law, cut through the media BS, and tell you exactly what you need to know about it, and give you, the Liberty take on this issue, and hopefully clarify some things. So, a lot of I've been seeing all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It seems that every other post is something about this law. I've got gay friends who are completely up in arms about it. I've got conservative, social conservative, very hardcore, Christians and religious people who are in defense of the law. And then I've got a very small minority of my friends who actually are somewhere in the middle, in between this. So if you look at MSNBC, you're going to see that the law calls for absolute discrimination policies against anyone that a business owner wants. If you look at Fox News, you're going to see that a real nice, pretty picture about defending someone's religious principles and how this actually shouldn't be that big of a deal to Americans. And really, what this law comes down to is it doesn't say anything necessarily about businesses have the right to discriminate. It's not what it says, but it does have some broad language that some of the opponents of this law interpret as kind of a free passage for some discrimination to actually happen. So right now in Indiana, with this law, what it's saying is if you go into a business and you ask that business to perform a service, whether it be baking a cake, photography, a wedding arrangement with flowers, invitations. I mean, I'm giving you a lot of the examples here that are currently being used. What it says is that business, on the grounds of that interfering with the business owner's faith, can refuse that service. Meaning, if you, the person, were requesting the flower arrangement or the photography, and you took them to court and you sued them based on some type of discrimination, this law essentially allows them to have some type of a defense, or at least a grounds for a defense to say, I wasn't just blatantly discriminating. The service that they asked me to provide interferes with my faith, and then they'd have to be able to go on and show and prove, how it interferes with their faith. So I was having a conversation with this with a good friend of mine, David, who is a lawyer and has some very unique views about this, and not necessarily unique, but probably the correct views, I think, on this. I personally don't want to go back to a society where if you're black or if you're gay and you walk in to get service at a pizza place, the pizza owner can tell you, hey, sorry, we don't serve blacks, or we don't serve gay people here, or whatever word they would use that probably isn't politically correct or nice. I don't want to go back to a place like that. However, I also don't want to go to a place where, if I'm a Christian and I own a cake baking business, and let's say a gay couple comes in and says, hey, I want you to bake me a cake with a bunch of penises all over it, and a bunch of men kissing each other, I think that owner should be able to say, I'm not comfortable with that. One, because of my faith. Two, because we happen to not bake vulgar messages on our cakes. But more importantly, because I don't necessarily believe in that with my faith, and they should be able to politely decline that service. And so the answer, I think, is somewhere in the middle there, where we don't want to go to a place where we're obviously outright discriminating against people. Nobody wants to. I wasn't alive in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s when that was going on, but a hard battle was fought over that, and I think the right choice was made, that separate but equal wasn't equal. And we're seeing kind of how we're seeing how society works with the free market, and this is where libertarians I think get a lot right. Is they say if you just let the free market play out, it'll sort itself out. And what they mean by that is we don't need government to tell us how this should actually work. we are capable enough as a society to decide for ourselves how it should work. So, for example, you saw this story about the pizza owner, and they came out as potentially saying that they would not serve, gay or lesbian or bi or transgender customers. And what exactly happened after they came out with that stance? Well, what happened was you saw the free market react. Millions of people criticized their business. Millions of people went on Yelp and wrote reviews, some really bad, but maybe very justified, in certain opinions. And so what happened was the market reacted to that business owner taking that stance. And so that's what libertarians say is if you allow the government to kind of get out of the way on some of these issues, business owners are going to pay the price. I can't tell you, I don't know that there would be a very successful business in today's world that put up a sign outside their window saying, no blacks allowed. One, you don't see it very often. And two, if you did see it, can you imagine the backlash that would ensue after that actually happened? I think the business would be, tremendously hurt and would probably go out of business and lose tons of customers because our society right now is at a point where it really doesn't tolerate racism. It doesn't tolerate bigots. And so when that happens, the market and the people respond accordingly to that. So that's, my personal take. I think that if you have a true religious objection to something, you should be able to say, hey, I'm not comfortable with providing that service, but hey, let me recommend you to 5 other cake bakers who are all really good, who maybe will bake that cake for you. And I wish you all the best and congratulations. Maybe that's a very ideological and perfect picture to paint, but I just don't think we need to go to a place where we're absolutely saying, from a federal and state law perspective that, religious freedom isn't defended, but nor are the rights of, anyone who is gay or lesbian or bi or whatever. So it's 2015. I just wanted to give you guys a quick statistic here on NPR to kind of show you how far this has come. But where is it? Back in 1996, they did a poll, and they said, do you think marriages between same-sex couples should or should not be recognized by the law as valid with the same rights as traditional marriages? In 1996, 68% of people total, not Republicans or Democrats, but total, said they should not be valid. Move along to 2014, the latest statistic shows it's down to 42%, and in favor that they should hold the same weight is 55%. So, massive decline there for people who say it should not be valid, and a massive increase for people who say it should be valid. So, I think society's heading in the right direction, but just wanted to give you guys, hopefully this is more like 8 minutes, not 5 minutes. I don't think any of these are going to be 5 minutes, by the way, but hopefully you got some value from this. Please leave your comments on what you think about the law, what you think societies should do. If you think government should be involved, how should they be involved? And I encourage any open debate. This is Freedom Friday from Chris Sankey, Liberty Outfitters, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks.